Imagine being dropped into a foreign country where everyone knows, like a secret language.
Mm-hmm.
And if you say the wrong word or make the wrong gesture, you could literally lose your life.
Right. Every single interaction is this massive puzzle you have to solve just to, survive the day.
Exactly. And that is exactly how the human brain processes walking into a high school cafeteria after surviving a profound, world-shattering trauma.
Yeah, you aren't a teenager looking for friends at that point. You're basically a threat assessment machine looking for safe harbor.
100%. So today we are taking a deep dive into Stephen Chbosky's beloved coming-of-age novel, The Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Which is such a classic.
It is. But we aren't just here to talk about high school angst or, 90s nostalgia.
Far from it. I mean, this book is fundamentally a masterclass in psychological survival.
Yeah.
Our mission today is to unpack the journey of the so-called wallflower. We're going to explore how a traumatized, hyper-observant teenager learns to stop just watching life from the sidelines.
And what it ultimately costs to step into the arena of your own life.
Right. And we're looking at this through a series of incredibly intimate, dated letters written between August 1991 and August 1992 by a 15-year-old boy named Charlie.
Okay, let's unpack this because the framing of the book does something absolutely brilliant to you, the reader, right on page 1.
It really does.
Charlie addresses these letters simply to an anonymous friend. He's writing to this person because he heard that they listen, they understand, and they don't use people.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, you, the person listening to this deep dive right now, you are drafted into that role.
You're suddenly the friend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You instantly become the confidant of a kid trying to navigate the messy, unwritten rules of high school, mixtapes, and some really, really heavy unspoken pain.
And it forces a level of empathy that grounds the entire psychological exploration. You have to understand the immense, quiet grief Charlie is carrying as he enters his freshman year.
Because it's a lot.
It is a staggering amount. The previous spring, his middle school best friend, Michael, died by suicide without leaving a note.
Yeah.
And buried beneath that acute grief is an older, much more complex trauma regarding his favorite Aunt Helen.
Who passed away in a car accident when Charlie was just 7.
Right. So this raises an important question right away. How does a developing brain handle that level of consecutive loss?
How does it?
Well, the answer is that it forces the individual to become a permanent observer to ensure their own safety.
I really want to focus on that observer mentality. Because Charlie's perspective is just entirely unfiltered.
It's very unique.
It's like he's an alien anthropologist dropped into a 1991 American high school.
That is a great way to put it.
Right. He is constantly taking field notes on everything. Like who holds hands, how girls act dumb around boys they like, who eats what in the nutrition center. But he doesn't understand the underlying emotional math of being human. He has all the data, but he has no algorithm to process it.
Yeah, and that alien anthropologist's behavior is a textbook trauma response. What's fascinating here is the why behind his constant observation.
The hypervigilance.
Exactly. Clinically, we call this hypervigilance. When the world has proven to be fundamentally unsafe and unpredictable, like, losing your best friend to suicide without any warning, your nervous system essentially rewires itself.
You just go into high alert.
You start watching others obsessively to figure out the rules of survival. Charlie isn't just being quirky. He's mathematically trying to process why people are unhappy so he can build a behavioral mold that won't trigger another catastrophe.
Wow. And you see this hypervigilance constantly in his family dynamic.
Oh, everywhere.
He takes literal notes on his parents. He observes his pragmatic, stoic dad secretly crying harder than anyone else at the series finale of M*Ash.
Yeah, and making him the sandwich.
Right, making Charlie a sandwich, calling him champ, and treating it as their secret pact.
Beautiful moment.
It is. And he watches his mother, who quietly sweeps the floors and, cries during TV programs.
And his siblings, too.
Yeah. He watches his overachieving older brother playing football at Penn State and his sister, who's navigating incredibly toxic relationships.
Look at how he processes his sister's relationship specifically. He watches her boyfriend hit her hard across the face after she belittles him.
Which is horrifying.
It is. But Charlie's brain immediately logs how she suddenly gets soft and compliant. He doesn't emotionally react, right? He analyzes the mechanism of the abuse. He's running calculations.
But the emotional math breaks down completely when violence is directed at him.
Yes, it does.
Like early on, a kid named Sean bullies Charlie, trying to give him a swirly in the bathroom.
Oh, that scene.
Charlie doesn't just push him away. He casually unleashes a tactical assault.
He really does.
He goes straight for the knees, throat, and eyes.
Why?
Why? Because that's exactly what his older brother taught him to do.
Right.
So he brutally incapacitates his bully, and then the second the threat is neutralized, Charlie just starts crying.
And that moment perfectly illustrates the disconnect between his physical trauma response and his emotional age.
Because he's just a kid.
Exactly. His body executed a survival protocol. Knees, throat, eyes is threat elimination. But once the adrenaline fades, he is just a terrified 15-year-old boy who doesn't actually want to hurt anyone.
Yeah, he cries because the violence isolates him even further.
He realizes his internal operating system is completely out of sync with normal teenage behavior.
But there's a fatal flaw in the alien anthropologist's strategy, I think.
Oh, definitely.
You can only orbit the planet for so long before you need to land. Like, you need a tribe.
We are social creatures, after all.
Right. Which brings us to what feels like a triumphant moment in the story. Charlie finding his island of misfit toys.
The best way to describe them.
He bravely approaches a senior from his shop class at a football game. A guy named Patrick, affectionately known as Nothing.
Because kids teased him to either be called Patrick or Nothing at all, which is so cruel.
So cruel. But Patrick introduces Charlie to his stepsister, Sam. And suddenly, for the first time, Charlie is seen.
They take him to the big boy diner. They ask him questions about his favorite music, like the Smiths, and they actually listen to his answers.
Which leads to this pivotal scene where they bring him to a party at a friend's house.
And Charlie accidentally eats a marijuana brownie.
Which, lowers his inhibitions just enough for Patrick to publicly define him.
Right. The famous toast.
Yeah. Patrick tells the whole party he's a wallflower. You see things, you keep quiet about them, and you understand.
And the older kids actually toast him. They drink to Charlie.
It's intoxicating for him.
It really culminates in that iconic, culturally massive scene where they are driving in Sam's pickup truck through a tunnel.
Listening to a perfect song.
And Charlie declares, "I feel infinite."
It's a beautifully written sequence that really captures the transcendent feeling of finally belonging somewhere. For a moment, his hypervigilance just rests.
It does. It finally rests.
But I'm going to push back on this, though, because we constantly romanticize this part of the story. The Wallflower moniker is treated like this profound compliment, like an old soul being recognized.
I see where you're going with this.
Isn't there a massive, glaring danger in idolizing these friends? Charlie puts Sam on an impossible pedestal.
He really does.
He views her as an angelic figure who can do no wrong, rather than a flawed, messy teenage girl. He's worshiping them just because they let him sit in the room.
You're hitting on something deeply uncomfortable there. We want to applaud Patrick and Sam for saving him.
Right.
But if we look at the actual dynamic, it's highly problematic. Why is Charlie really welcomed into this group of older kids? Yes, they are kind, but his primary value to them is that he keeps their secrets.
He becomes a vault.
Precisely. He walks in on Patrick kissing the popular high school quarterback, Brad, and promises not to tell a soul.
Right.
He learns about Sam's deeply troubled past her history of abuse and the reputation she's trying to outrun, and he offers zero judgment.
None at all.
Clinically, this borders on trauma bonding. They need a safe space to offload their pain, and Charlie, because he has zero boundaries and a desperate need to be useful, becomes that space.
Wow. Yeah.
It's a beautiful form of friendship on the surface, but functioning as a silent vault for everyone else's trauma is fundamentally unsustainable for a 15-year-old whose own mental health is hanging by a thread.
He's absorbing all of this external pain, but who is he talking to about his own?
Nobody.
Just us, the anonymous reader.
Yeah.
He has no outlet in his physical world until he finds a mentor.
Yes, Bill.
And here's where it gets really interesting, because Charlie's advanced English teacher, Bill, steps into the narrative and completely shifts the trajectory.
Bill is the single adult figure who actually sees Charlie's condition. He recognizes Charlie's staggering intelligence, but he also spots the severe emotional stunting. So Bill doesn't just teach him grammar, he prescribes literature as therapy.
He assigns Charlie extra books that serve as psychological mirrors.
Yeah.
Like To Kill a Mockingbird, The Catcher in the Rye, Peter Pan, The Fountainhead.
All very specific choices.
I was trying to decode that specific reading list. Like, what's the pattern there?
Well, what do you think?
You've got stories of alienated protagonists navigating corrupt or confusing worlds. You've got Peter Pan, the literal boy who refuses to grow up, which perfectly mirrors Charlie's stunted emotional state.
Yes.
And the Fountainhead, which is all about fierce, unapologetic individualism.
That's the exact through line. Bill is trying to build an ego in a boy who has none.
An ego. Wow.
He's giving Charlie the emotional vocabulary his well-meaning but frankly emotionally constricted family struggles to provide.
Right.
And Bill gives him two crucial directives: to participate, and when reading, to be a filter, not a sponge.
Filter, not a sponge. That is so key.
That changes everything.
Stop just absorbing everyone else's damage. Process it, evaluate it, keep what serves you, and discard the rest.
Exactly.
But the absolute anchor of their dynamic, and honestly, the core thesis of this entire deep dive, happens when Charlie asks Bill a heartbreaking question. Charlie is looking at his sister, staying with a guy who hits her. He's looking at Sam, his angel on a pedestal, baiting a college guy named Craig, who constantly cheats on her and dismisses her.
Yeah.
And Charlie asks Bill, why do nice people choose people who treat them so poorly?
And Bill delivers the defining quote of the book. He says, "Charlie, we accept the love we think we deserve."
I mean, think about your own life right now as you listen to this.
Yeah.
Look at your career, your partner, your friendships. Are you actually happy, or are you just tolerating them? Because deep down, you've set a ceiling on your own worth.
It's a tough question to ask yourself.
Why is it so incredibly hard for us to demand better for ourselves? Charlie applies this profound wisdom to Sam and his sister perfectly. He understands why they are hurting, but he completely tragically fails to apply it to himself.
Because applying it to himself would require a sense of self-worth that his trauma eradicated. He accepts the absolute bare minimum of participation in his own life because he fundamentally doesn't believe he deserves to take up space.
That's so sad.
It is. Bill tells Charlie directly that he is special later in the year. He provides unconditional positive reinforcement to try and build that foundation so Charlie can finally demand the love he deserves.
But knowing the theory and living the theory are two wildly different things.
Oh, completely different.
Which brings us to a major pivot in the story.
Yeah.
You think you're safe, sitting on the sidelines, being a wallflower. You stay out of the blast radius. But what happens when passive observation curdles into passive-aggressive destruction? When the people you are observing demand that you take a side?
Well, you find out that the safety of the wallflower is a complete illusion.
Yeah.
You cannot selectively numb emotion, and you cannot passively navigate human relationships indefinitely. Charlie's passivity inevitably detonates his social circle.
It starts with Mary Elizabeth, right?
Exactly. Mary Elizabeth, a girl in their friend group who is heavily into punk music and Buddhism, she asks Charlie to the Sadie Hawkins dance. He goes, entirely out of passivity.
He doesn't even want to go.
No. They start dating, and Charlie is completely miserable.
He literally says he doesn't want to hurt her feelings, so he just agrees to everything she wants.
Yeah.
She talks constantly, she dictates the terms of the relationship, and Charlie just internalizes his resentment because his broken emotional math tells him that's what a good friend does.
Let's look at the psychology of that for a second. Staying in a relationship you hate out of a misguided sense of politeness isn't kindness.
No, it's not.
It's a form of self-sabotage as a control mechanism. If you don't make any choices, you can't be blamed when things go wrong.
Oh, wow.
But your subconscious can only suppress that frustration for so long before it forces a breakout.
And that breakout is spectacular and awful.
It really is.
They're playing Truth or Dare at a party. Someone dares Charlie to kiss the prettiest girl in the room. He is currently sitting right next to his girlfriend, Mary Elizabeth.
His girlfriend.
What does the passive, observant wallflower do? He leans across the room and kisses Sam.
It is a breathtakingly destructive moment.
It's so hard to read.
Mary Elizabeth runs out crying. Sam asks him what the hell is wrong with him, and Patrick tells him to stay away from the group.
Yeah.
By trying to passively please everyone and avoid conflict, Charlie ends up inflicting massive pain on the people he cares about most, and he isolates himself completely.
He is back to square one, orbiting alone, but the walls of his hypervigilance are starting to crack, and they break down completely when violence enters the picture again.
The cafeteria scene.
Yes. Patrick is spiraling. Brad, the quarterback he's been secretly seeing, is forced into rehab by his parents and starts publicly ignoring Patrick in the halls.
Which breaks Patrick's heart.
It does. And the tension boils over in the cafeteria.
Yeah.
Brad's football friends drop a homophobic slur at Patrick, and Patrick snaps. He swings at Brad, and suddenly the massive football players are ganging up on Patrick, beating him down.
If we connect this to the bigger picture and look at this through the lens of trauma, this is where the observer is violently pulled into the arena.
He can't just watch this time.
No, Charlie doesn't just watch this happen. The threat to his tribe overrides his passivity. He enters a complete fugue state.
The knees, throat, eyes thing again.
Exactly. Relying entirely on that brutal fighting advice his brother gave him, he steps in and systematically dismantles the football players.
He blanks out completely. When he snaps back to reality, he's standing over them, having brutally defended Patrick.
It's terrifying for him.
It is, but it reveals the fierce, desperately loyal protector hidden beneath his passive exterior. And, well, it earns his way back into the friend group.
It's the protector response taking the wheel. He is willing to endure violence to keep his safe harbor intact.
Right.
But while he survives the physical altercation, the real psychological reckoning is still coming.
Because the end of the summer arrives, the protective bubble is bursting because Sam is packing to leave for a summer program at Penn State.
They're moving on.
They are alone in her room, and Sam finally, forcefully confronts him about his passivity. She asks him point blank why he never made a move when she finally broke up with Craig.
What does he say?
Charlie gives his classic Wallflower answer. He says he just wanted her to be happy, even if it meant he couldn't be with her, because he thought that was love.
And Sam shatters that delusion.
Thank God.
She tells him, you can't just sit there and put everybody's lives ahead of yours and think that counts as love. You just can't. You have to do things.
It's an incredible moment of accountability.
It is. She doesn't want to be someone's idealized angel on a pedestal. She wants a partner who will take her hand and actually participate in the messy reality of a relationship.
So she initiates intimacy. She tells him she wants to make sure his first kiss is with someone who truly loves him. But as they become physically intimate, the entire system crashes.
Charlie completely disassociates.
He feels good at first, but then a wave of absolute wrongness washes over him, and he doesn't know why. He has to stop.
Yeah.
He leaves, goes home, and spirals into a severe dissociative breakdown. He ends up catatonic on the couch, entirely unresponsive to the world, and has to be hospitalized.
We have to understand the mechanics of what just happened here.
Please, yeah.
That moment of true participatory intimacy unlocked a door in his mind he had spent his entire life trying to keep deadbolted. During his hospitalization, the repressed trauma finally surfaces.
The real trauma.
Yes. He realizes through somatic memory, which is the body remembering what the mind forced itself to forget, that his beloved Aunt Helen, the person who bought him books, the person he adored, had sexually abused him when he was a child.
God. So what does this all mean for the concept of the wallflower? We spent the whole book thinking it was a romantic, quirky personality trait. Is it actually just a trauma response masquerading as a personality?
Absolutely. Think about the energy required to repress a memory of that magnitude.
It must be exhausting.
It's all-consuming. Charlie's intense passivity, his need to observe rather than act, his desperate desire to keep everyone's secrets and keep them happy,
Right.
It was all a complex survival mechanism. He had to stay perfectly still and hypervigilant. If he didn't have any needs, if he didn't demand any love, he wouldn't draw attention to himself. And if he didn't draw attention to himself, the monster in the closet couldn't get out, and he couldn't be hurt again.
But the moment Sam challenges him to participate in real love, the emotional floodgates open. The dam breaks.
Yeah.
He can't compartmentalize anymore.
The breakdown is agonizing to read, but clinically it is not a failure.
It's not.
No, it is the necessary, painful shattering of his wallflower shell. As we discussed earlier, you cannot selectively numb emotion. If you numb the trauma, you numb the joy.
Right.
To finally feel love and be present in his own body, he had to confront the horror he was hiding from himself.
Which brings us to the resolution of his journey. It takes months in the psychiatric hospital. It takes intense therapy. But Charlie starts to recover.
He does.
He comes to terms with the complexity of his family, the reality of what his aunt did to him, and his own history. He writes this incredibly profound realization from the hospital. He says, even if we don't have the power to choose where we come from, we can still choose where we go from there.
It's the ultimate rejection of passive observation. It's the embrace of agency. We are all shaped by our trauma, but we are not permanently authored by it.
We can choose to write the next sentence.
Exactly.
And that leads to the final, beautiful symmetry of the book. Sam and Patrick are back for a brief visit before college really starts. They get in Sam's pickup truck, and they drive through the tunnel one last time.
But this time is different.
It is. Charlie isn't sitting safely between them in the middle of the seat, just watching them live. He climbs into the back of the pickup truck. He stands up. He lets the wind rush over his face, actively participating in the moment, crying and smiling at the same time. He is finally, truly there.
He is no longer watching the infinite from a safe distance. He is part of it. He has stepped into the arena.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want you to think about your own life again. What is your tunnel?
Good question.
Where in your life are you sitting down in the middle seat, passively observing, when you really should be standing up and letting the wind hit your face? Where are you accepting the love you think you deserve instead of demanding the love you actually need?
Let's take that a step further for a final thought.
Okay.
For this entire journey, you, the listener, have been the anonymous friend receiving Charlie's letters. You sat silently. You observed his pain, his joy, and his trauma without ever being able to intervene.
We were the wallflowers.
In a way, the structure of the book forces us to be the ultimate wallflowers in Charlie's life. So in our current age of constant media consumption, endlessly scrolling through feeds, watching from the sidelines, wait, let me rephrase that. In our current age of constant media consumption, endlessly scrolling and just watching from the sidelines, are we all just reading other people's letters, or are we actively writing our own?